Have you ever wondered what goes on in the mind of someone who constantly manipulates you, who smiles at you one moment and stabs you emotionally the next? What if I told you there are genius ways to read their mind, to see through their lies, their masks, their fake affection, and finally protect your peace? If you've ever been confused by someone who says they care, but their actions whisper something darker, then you need to watch this video till the end. Because what I'm about to share can change how you see people forever, especially in your love life. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video, because you're about to unlock something that can literally save you from emotional chaos. And trust me, by the end, you'll never fall for toxic manipulation again. Let's begin. Number 1, watch their contradictions, their actions speak louder than their words. Have you ever loved someone who said all the right words, but deep down, something just didn't feel right? They'd say, "You're the only one for me," but you'd still catch them flirting online, ignoring your messages, or going cold right after you opened your heart. If you've ever felt that confusion, that quiet ache where love meets doubt, then you already know what contradiction feels like. And maybe right now, as you listen, you're remembering that one person who promised you forever, but couldn't even give you consistency. You see, toxic people are masters at painting words like dreams. They know exactly what to say to make you fall deeper. They say, "I care about you," when what they really mean is, "I care about what you do for me." They say, "You can trust me," when they've already planned how to twist your emotions the next time you question them. Do you remember the last time someone told you they loved you, but their love came with conditions? They wanted you to be quieter, to stop asking questions, to stop being too emotional. That wasn't love. That was control dressed up as care. Let me ask you something. How many times did you forgive someone? Not because they deserved it, but because you hoped that maybe this time their words would match their actions. You believed them because you wanted to. Because the heart doesn't see red flags, it sees potential. But the truth is, the more you watched their contradictions, the more your heart started whispering something your mind refused to hear. It whispered, "This person doesn't love you the way you love them." And that hurts, doesn't it? Because you gave your best, your time, your trust, to someone who gave you confusion in return. But here's where the real genius comes in. The moment you stop believing what they say and start observing what they do, you begin to read their mind like an open book. Watch closely. When they say they're too busy, but still post online, what they're saying is, "You're not my priority." When they say, "You're overreacting every time you express pain," what they mean is, "I don't want to take responsibility." When they say, "I love you," right after hurting you, what they mean is, "Don't leave me, I still need to control you." And the painful part, they don't even see the damage they cause. Because to them, love isn't connection, it's manipulation wrapped in emotion. But here's the good news, my friend. Once you recognize this pattern, you'll never be fooled again. You'll stop falling for words and start believing patterns. You'll start choosing peace over confusion and truth over illusion. And maybe, just maybe, you'll finally realize the person whose actions hurt you the most taught you how to protect your heart the best. So next time someone says they love you, don't rush to believe it. Wait, watch, observe, because words can lie, but actions? They never do. Number 2, notice how they react to your happiness. Have you ever shared something that made you genuinely happy, only to see the person you love go quiet? You smiled, waiting for them to celebrate with you. But instead, there was that uncomfortable silence, that tiny pause that felt louder than any words they could have said. If that memory just replayed in your mind, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's not love. That's hidden envy, jealousy wearing the mask of care. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever told someone, "Guess what, I got the job," or "I finally achieved that thing I've been working for"? And instead of saying, "I'm so proud of you," they said something like, "Oh, must be nice," or "You're just lucky." That subtle dismissal, it's how toxic people reveal. what's truly inside their hearts. Because here's the truth, toxic people don't hate your failures. They hate your growth. They can handle you being broken, because broken people are easier to control. But the moment you start to shine, they start to shrink. Think about it. Remember that time you were glowing. Maybe you looked good, felt confident, or finally moved past an old pain. And suddenly they picked a fight out of nowhere? That's not coincidence. That's emotional sabotage. Toxic people feel threatened by your happiness because it reminds them of what they lack: self-love, peace, and inner strength. Your joy reflects their emptiness, and they can't stand to see it. And yet, because you loved them, you probably ignored those signs, didn't you? You told yourself, maybe they're just stressed, or maybe I'm overthinking. But deep down, your soul knew something wasn't right. Because love isn't supposed to dim your light. It's supposed to help you shine brighter. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're standing under the stars with the person you love. You tell them about your dream, your big, beautiful dream. And instead of saying, I believe in you, they smirk and say, you? Really? That moment stays with you, doesn't it? Because you weren't asking for validation. You were sharing your soul. Here's the truth. When someone loves you genuinely, your happiness becomes their happiness. They'll lift you higher, not question how you got there. They'll smile when you smile, not silently compete. So the next time you share your happiness, watch carefully. Do they cheer for you, or do they go quiet? Do they lift your spirit, or try to bring it down? Because people's reactions to your joy reveal the purest truth about who they are. And maybe, just maybe, the person you thought loved you only loved it when you needed them. Because when you stopped needing and started growing, their love started fading. So here's what you need to remember. The ones who truly love you will clap, even when the spotlight is not on them. They'll smile when you succeed and pray when you struggle. Because real love doesn't compete, it celebrates. So now think back. Who really smiled when you won? And who pretended to, but secretly wished you'd fall? That answer will tell you everything you need to know. Number 3, observe their sense of urgency. Manipulation has a tempo. Have you ever noticed how some people never give you time to think? They push, they rush, they pressure, and before you know it, you're agreeing to something that doesn't even feel right. They'll say, "Why are you taking so long?" Or, "If you really loved me, you'd do this now." If you've ever been there, standing in that silent war between your heart and your logic, you already know how manipulation feels. It's not loud, it's subtle. It feels like love at first, until you realize you've been trained to obey emotions that aren't even yours. Let's be real for a second. Have you ever been with someone who made you feel guilty for asking for space? The moment you said, "I need time to think," they made you feel like you were losing them. That's not passion. That's pressure. Because toxic people know that if you take time to think, you'll start to see through them. Remember that person who made everything urgent? The one who said, "If you don't come now, don't come ever." Or, "You have to decide right now if you want me or not." They weren't asking for love. They were demanding control. You see, manipulation has a rhythm, a tempo. It moves fast because if you stop and breathe, you'll hear the silence behind their chaos. They don't want you calm. They want you confused, because confusion makes obedience easy. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the first time they rushed you into saying, "I love you"? That quick heartbeat, that pressure to prove your feelings. It felt romantic, didn't it? But now, looking back, you can see it. That wasn't love growing naturally. That was emotional speed, designed to make you attach before you understood who they really were. Toxic people move fast because they fear exposure. They don't want you to take time to notice their red flags. They want you addicted before you see their manipulation. So they flood you with affection, promises, and urgency until your mind can't keep up. And then one day, you wake up and realize you've been living someone else's version of love, not your own. You've been running at their speed, ignoring your pace, your peace, your intuition. But here's the beautiful truth. The moment you slow down, their mask starts to slip. because toxic love can't survive in patience. It only thrives in chaos. So next time someone rushes your emotions, pause. Let them wait. Let silence speak. Because the people who truly love you will never make you rush something that's meant to last forever. Love that's real doesn't need urgency. It needs understanding. It doesn't force, it flows. And when you find that kind of love, calm, steady, patient, you'll realize why every rushed connection before it was never love at all. Number 4, study their apologies. Are they sorry or just scared to lose you? Do you remember the first time they apologized to you? Maybe their voice softened, their eyes looked heavy with guilt, and for a moment, you believed them. They said, "I'm sorry, I'll never hurt you again." And your heart, so desperate to heal, whispered back, "Maybe this time will be different." But it wasn't, was it? Because soon after that apology, the same cycle repeated. The same words, the same promises, the same pain. So ask yourself, were they truly sorry or just scared that you were slipping away? See, toxic people don't apologize to heal. They apologize to reset. Their sorry isn't born from regret. It's born from fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of being exposed. Fear of no longer being the center of your emotional world. Think back for a second. How many times did they say "I'm sorry" only when they saw your silence? Not when they hurt you, but when they realized you were finally pulling away. That's not remorse. That's panic. You see, a genuine apology changes behavior. A manipulative one only changes the mood, just long enough for them to get back in your heart. Let me paint you a picture. It's late at night. You've cried so much that your eyes sting. You finally decided, that's it. I'm done. You silence your phone and for the first time, you breathe. And then suddenly, it buzzes. It's them. A long message filled with, "I miss you. You're the only one who understands me. I can't live without you." And just like that, your heart begins to melt. Because you still love them, right? You want to believe they've changed. But deep down, something in you whispers, they're not sorry for what they did. They're sorry they got caught. Toxic apologies are clever. They're coated in emotion, but hollow at the core. They shift blame subtly. "I'm sorry if you felt hurt," making you the problem for being sensitive. They say, "I didn't mean it like that," to erase the impact of their words. And the worst part, they make you question your pain. So the next time someone apologizes, don't just listen, observe. Do they actually change? Do they show effort, consistency, patience? Because real remorse doesn't need performance. It needs proof. A toxic person will say sorry to keep access to your heart, not to protect it. Their tears, their promises, their sudden affection. It's all part of the act to make sure you stay in their loop. But here's the turning point. The moment you stop believing in words and start watching actions, you break their spell. Because love isn't about how beautifully someone can apologize. It's about how gently they behave after they do. So ask yourself honestly, did they apologize to fix the pain or to avoid the consequence? Did they come back out of love or out of fear of losing their control? Because one heals you, the other only chains you tighter. And when you finally see the difference, that's the day you stop accepting sorry and start demanding change. Number 5, pay attention to their humor. The truth hides in jokes. Have you ever noticed how some people reveal the deepest truths behind a simple laugh? They'll joke about something. Haha. Imagine if I ever leave you, and you laugh too, thinking it's harmless. But deep down, something inside you pauses, just for a second. Because sometimes the truth doesn't scream, it smiles. Let's rewind to a moment you've probably lived through. You're sitting with someone you love. Maybe it's late at night. Maybe you're both laughing at something silly. The world feels light, peaceful, like nothing could ever go wrong. Then suddenly they say something like, "I bet one day you'll get bored of me," or "Maybe I'll find someone better." You laugh it off. They laugh too, but something in their eyes changes, just for a second. That's the thing about humor. It's not always funny. Sometimes it's armor, sometimes it's confession. In love, people often hide their fears and intentions behind jokes. A playful tease can carry the truth about how they really feel. About you, about the relationship, or about what they're secretly planning. Think back. How many times did they joke about something that later turned out real? Maybe they joked about texting someone else, or needing space, or being too much for you. And when it actually happened, you remembered that moment, didn't you? That tiny laugh that suddenly didn't feel so funny anymore. That's why the Stoics teach us to observe without reacting. Epictetus once said, "Nature gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." When you listen, truly listen, even laughter starts to sound different. Because in every joke, there's a seed of truth. And when someone repeatedly jokes about the same thing, it's not coincidence, it's confession. Their humor reveals what their honesty hides. So next time your partner, your friend, or even your crush makes a funny comment about leaving, cheating, or changing, don't just laugh. Listen, feel what's behind that smile. What fear or intention is being masked with laughter? You see, love is beautiful, but it's also layered. Sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones telling us the truth, disguised as humor, hoping we never take it seriously. So, my friend, remember this. The next time they joke about not loving you the same, don't ignore it. The next time they laugh about replacing you, pay attention. Because sometimes laughter isn't joy, it's a cry for honesty. And when you start hearing the truth behind the jokes, you stop being fooled by the smile and start understanding the silence that follows it. Number 6, watch how they treat people who can't help them. Have you ever been with someone who treated you like the center of their world, but only when it benefited them? When you were giving your all, they were sweet, gentle, loving. But the moment you had nothing left to give, suddenly the tone changed. The warmth faded. The "I love you" turned into silence. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the first time you saw them speak to a waiter rudely? Or how they snapped at a driver who made a small mistake on the road? You brushed it off, didn't you? You told yourself, they're just having a bad day. But deep down, something inside you whispered, if they can talk to someone like that now, what happens when I'm no longer useful to them? Love has a way of blinding us. We focus so much on how they treat us that we forget to notice how they treat the world around them. But that's where the truth hides. Not in how they love you, but in how they love people who can't give them anything back. Think about it. The true character of a person isn't revealed in how they treat you when they're in love. It's revealed in how they treat the stranger at the store, the old man asking for directions, or the child selling flowers on the street. If you've ever loved deeply, you've probably ignored those red flags because your heart believed the best version of them. You told yourself, they'd never talk to me that way. But love, my friend, is not about selective kindness. It's about consistent humanity. Let me take you back to a moment. Maybe you were out with your partner, watching a movie, holding hands. The world felt perfect. Then the food came late, and suddenly they were rude to the waiter. The air changed, didn't it? You felt that chill, that glimpse of who they truly were when no one was watching. That moment was truth knocking on your heart, because how someone treats the powerless tells you how they'll treat you when you become powerless. So pay attention, not to their sweet words when they need you, but to their silence when someone else does. Because real kindness doesn't come with conditions. And if you ever wonder whether someone's love is pure, just observe them in moments where compassion gains them nothing. Do they smile? Do they help? Or do they turn away, pretending they never saw the need? In the end, it's simple. Toxic people treat kindness like currency. Once it stops paying, they stop giving. But real love doesn't need a reason to be gentle. So watch closely, because how they treat others is a silent preview of how they'll one day treat you. Number 7, notice their need for attention. Validation is their oxygen. Have you ever loved someone who needed the whole world to notice them, even when you were right there, giving them everything? You gave them your time, your heart, your loyalty, yet somehow it was never enough. They needed more compliments, more messages, more eyes watching them. And when they didn't get it, they'd grow distant, cold, like a flame flickering in the wind, desperate for oxygen. That's the truth about toxic people. Attention is their air, and validation is what keeps them alive. But what about you? How many nights did you stay awake, wondering why your love wasn't enough? Why they seemed happier when someone else noticed them, liked their post, or complimented their outfit? Let's be honest. We've all been there. You're scrolling through your phone and see their new selfie. That same smile that once belonged to you, now fishing for hearts from strangers. And you wonder, was I just another source of validation for them? Here's something no one tells you. Toxic people are addicted, not to love, but to admiration. They crave the spotlight, the approval, the attention that feeds their fragile ego. When you first met them, they made you feel special. They showered you with affection, made you feel like you were the only one. But slowly, you realized that's just what they do to everyone. You see, for them, love isn't connection, it's performance. They don't want to be understood. They want to be adored. And the moment your praise fades, they'll find someone else to clap for them. Think back for a moment. Remember that time you were hurting, and they brushed it off because the conversation wasn't about them. Or when you celebrated something important, and instead of sharing your joy, they found a way to make it about their own story. That's not love. That's emotional hunger disguised as charm. And the more attention you give them, the more they take, like an endless well that never fills. You start losing yourself trying to keep them satisfied, trying to be enough. But here's the painful truth. You could give them the whole world, and they'd still look over your shoulder for applause from someone else. Because for them, validation isn't a desire. It's oxygen. Without it, they suffocate. And they'll drag you into that same suffocating space where your worth depends on their moods. So pay attention. When someone constantly seeks to be seen rather than to see you, love turns into a competition, and you'll always lose. The healthiest love doesn't crave validation. It creates peace. Because real love doesn't need an audience. It just needs two hearts that understand each other, even in silence. Number 8. Decode their silence. Absence is also communication. Have you ever noticed how silence can be louder than words? That quiet space between two messages, the unanswered call, the seen text that never gets a reply. It says something, doesn't it? But we often refuse to hear it because the truth hurts more than the silence itself. Let's go back to that one memory, the one that still lingers. Remember when they used to reply instantly? Every message, every "I miss you," every little heart emoji came with warmth. You could feel their presence even through a screen. But then something changed. The replies got shorter, the calls got rarer, and the silence. Oh, that silence started to speak in ways you didn't want to understand. You told yourself they were busy. You made excuses. Maybe they're tired, maybe something came up. But deep down a small voice whispered, or maybe they're just not choosing you anymore. You see, silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's distance disguised as calm. And toxic people, they use silence like a weapon. They withdraw affection to make you chase them, to make you question your worth, to make you crave the connection they once gave so easily. Have you ever been in that position, staring at your phone, rereading old messages, trying to find clues of where things went wrong? That's not love, my friend. That's confusion. And confusion is the favorite tool of those who want control. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And he was right, because when someone goes silent, your mind becomes their playground. You start overthinking, replaying memories, wondering if you said something wrong. You start loving ghosts instead of people. But here's the truth. Absence is also communication. When someone chooses not to show up, that's an answer. When someone stops calling, stops caring, stops making you feel seen, that's a message, loud and clear. You just need the courage to accept it. Because love doesn't vanish into silence. Real love may grow quiet, but it never disappears without reason. When someone truly loves you, they don't make you guess their feelings. They make you feel safe in their presence and their pauses. So if their silence has become more consistent than their words, Don't chase it. Decode it. Understand what it's trying to tell you. Maybe it's telling you that your chapter in their life is closing. Maybe it's reminding you to listen to yourself instead of waiting for them. And maybe, just maybe, that silence isn't rejection, it's redirection. Because the moment you learn to read silence, you'll stop begging for explanations from those who already gave you one through their absence. Number 9. Notice what they hide when they are being nice. Have you ever noticed how some people become extra nice when they've done something wrong? Suddenly, they're full of compliments, smiles, and sweet gestures, the kind that make you forget the storm that came before. You tell yourself, maybe they've changed, but your heart whispers, or maybe they're just hiding something. Think back for a second to your own love story. Remember that one time when they fought with you, disappeared for a while, and then came back acting like nothing happened, bringing gifts, sending long, sweet texts, calling you baby again after days of cold silence. It felt like love returning, didn't it? But deep down, something didn't feel right. That's because their kindness wasn't connection. It was camouflage. Toxic people often hide their guilt, lies, and manipulation behind moments of exaggerated sweetness. They know you're emotional, loving, forgiving, and they use that softness like a key to unlock your trust again. It's like they sprinkle sugar right after giving you poison, just enough sweetness to make you doubt your own pain. You might even remember sitting beside them, smiling, trying to enjoy the moment. But your heart felt uneasy. You could sense something unspoken hanging in the air. Their eyes avoided yours for too long. Their laugh felt a little too forced. And you wondered, why does their kindness suddenly feel heavy? That's your intuition speaking. The same inner voice you've ignored too many times in love. Because genuine kindness doesn't come and go with convenience. It's not selective. Real kindness flows naturally. It doesn't appear only after damage has been done. But toxic people, they're clever. They know exactly when to be nice, when you're slipping away, when they've been caught, or when they fear losing control over you. So they smile, they apologize, they make promises, and for a while you believe them because you remember how good it used to be. But let me ask you something. How many times did you fall for that same cycle? How many times did you forgive them because their kindness made you forget the pain they caused? Every "I'm sorry" felt sincere until the next storm came. Here's the truth. When someone is suddenly too nice after hurting you, don't just listen to their words, watch their patterns. Kindness without consistency is manipulation. So, notice what they hide when they're being nice. Is it guilt? Is it a secret? Is it fear of losing control? Because sometimes their kindness isn't love. It's a cover story. And once you start seeing the truth beneath the sweetness, you stop falling for their charm and start protecting your peace. After all, love shouldn't feel like guessing. It should feel like home. Not a performance to make you forget the pain they caused. And at the last, read their patterns, not their promises. Do you remember the first time they promised they'd never hurt you again? Their voice was soft, their eyes sincere, and for a moment, you believed them. You wanted to, because love makes us believe in second chances, even when the truth is whispering. You've heard this before. Let's be real, promises are easy. Anyone can say, "I'll change." But patterns never lie. Think back to your own love story. Remember how many times they said they'd stop doing the things that broke you? They said they'd communicate better. They said they'd never make you cry again. And for a little while they kept their word. You saw effort, you felt hope, and your heart relaxed. But slowly things started slipping again, didn't they? The late replies came back. The attitude returned. The same cycle: hurt, apology, sweet words, repeat. You see, toxic people don't change their nature. They just change their tactics. They learn the right words to say because they've studied what keeps you from leaving. And you, being kind, loving, loyal, keep believing that maybe this time will be different. But let me ask you something. How many times has "I promise" actually turned into "I did"? The Stoics taught us that character is revealed through consistent action, not emotional moments. Because promises are spoken in comfort, but patterns are revealed in chaos. When someone loves you truly, their behavior speaks the same language as their words, not just when things are easy, but especially when things get hard. Think about it. A person's pattern is their truth. If they hurt you, apologize and repeat it. That's not a mistake, that's a routine. If they disappear when you need them most and come back only when it suits them, that's not love, that's control. And yet, we all fall for the same illusion, the promise of, "I'll do better," because our hearts crave hope. We want to believe that people can change if they love us enough. But love doesn't rewrite patterns. Awareness does. And until they see their behavior, until they take responsibility instead of making promises, they'll keep hurting you in the same way, just with better excuses. So next time they say, "I promise," don't just listen. Watch. Do their actions align with their words? Do they show up without being reminded? Do they make you feel safe without asking for forgiveness first? Because patterns tell you what love really looks like. Not the version you wish it could be, but the one it actually is. And once you start reading patterns instead of promises, you'll stop falling for potential and start protecting your peace. Because real love doesn't need to be promised. It's proven day after day through the quiet consistency of someone who chooses you. Not just with words, but with action. You know, in the end, it's not about learning to read other people's minds. It's about learning to trust your own. Because deep down, you always knew. You knew when something felt off. You knew when their words didn't match their actions. You knew when silence wasn't peace, it was punishment. You just kept hoping you were wrong. Because love made you see potential instead of truth. But here's what life, and pain, eventually teaches you. People can fake their words, but not their energy. They can promise you forever, but patterns always tell the truth. And once you learn to read the small signs, the tone, the silence, the shift in effort, you stop being fooled by illusions. Because the most powerful thing you can ever do is see people as they are, not as you wish they'd be. That's where your peace begins. You start realizing that love doesn't demand you to ignore reality. It asks you to respect it. It's not your job to fix someone who enjoys breaking you. It's your job to protect the softness in you that believed love should feel safe. So the next time someone's charm tries to blind you, remember, you've already survived the kind of love that tried to destroy your spirit. And that makes you wiser now. You no longer need to read their lips. You can read their patterns. You no longer need to chase closure. You can hear it in their silence. And you no longer need to beg for love, because real love doesn't need convincing. It just stays. So choose peace over confusion. Choose honesty over fantasy. And most of all, choose yourself every single time. Because the moment you stop giving your energy to those who drain you, you start attracting those who deserve you. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time,